Hello, I want to give you an idea of what it's like to calculate a future value, and in particular for our purposes, what the value of a goal will be in the future. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to multiply the current value of any of those goals that you picked. We're going to multiply that by a factor. And a factor is a number. In our case, it takes into account the number of years and a certain rate of interest, whether it's for inflation or possibly even for rate of return. So let's take a look at first of all, I want to share this screen with you now. So let's take a look here at a future value table. Now, in the back of your textbook, there are 4 different tables, and there are any number of them. But you have to be sure that you're using the correct table for our purposes. Now, since we are only going to go from one number to a number in the future, you want to look for a number that says of $1. So in this case, we're looking for the value in the future of $1, and that's where we come up with this particular chart. Now, these charts will be similar to the ones in the back of your book, but these go a little bit longer. I recall that when I put this problem together, the charts in the back of the book didn't go for as many years as necessary. So I found these other charts, and I think you'll find them to be helpful. So let's take an example. If you first of all, you're going to assume an inflation rate. So here on the top line, the top horizontal line, you have your choice anywhere from 1% to 15%. Now, we're just trying to keep this easy so that we can understand the concept. In the event that you needed to use an inflation rate of, let's say, 3.5%, what you would have to do is what they call extrapolate. And that's where you've got to find a number halfway between 3% and 4%, because that's what's going to give you 3.5%. But we're not going to go there right now. We don't need to get that complicated. So that's on the horizontal line. It's an interest rate. In our case, it'll be the rate of inflation. On the vertical line, you're going to have numbers anywhere from, in this case, 1 all the way down to 47. And these are for the number of years that are involved. So in the example that I'm about to show you, we're going to look at something that a goal for 8 years and another goal for 46 years. So let me pull up I'm going to close this out here. Bear with me a second. So now I'm going to pull up this PowerPoint. So here's the example that we're going to use. Let's assume that one of the goals that you are going to be using is worth $30,000 in today's value, in today's market. So that's the present value. We're also assuming you are age 22, and you need to find out what it's going to be at age 30. Now, I realize that some of you may possibly be using a different number of a different age. If that's the case, just follow along, and you'll still need to know the number of years for which you are doing your calculation. So if you're going to be starting at, say, age 35 and going to age 45, well, that's a 10-year difference. So you'll be using 10 for the vertical number that we're having here. But in our case right now, just to show you how this works, we're going to be using $30,000 in today's dollars, and we are now at age 22. So how much will that $30,000 be worth at age 30, assuming a 4% inflation rate? So the way I can do that is we go to the future value table. We look for 4%, and remember the interest rates or the percentages are on the top. So in this case, 4% we're using. We know that the difference between age 22 and 30 is 8 years. So on the vertical line, we're going to go down to 8. So there's a point where the line for N meets the line for the percentages. And so that comes right here. So this number, this 1.36857, is known as a factor. This is a factor that you're going to be multiplying into the present value of your goal. So let's do that. So again, 4% inflation rate for 8 years. Factor is 1.36857. So it's going to look like this. You're going to multiply 30,000 times that 1.36857. The total value in the future is $41,057. So that means that this item that you are that currently is worth 30,000, when you go to buy it 8 years from now, you're going to have to pay $41,057. Okay, so that's the first part of these calculations. Let me give you one more calculation to make sure that you understand the concept. All right, so here we go right here. So in this example, we're going to use an amount of $50,000. We're going to again start at age 22. And we're trying to find out how much $50,000 will be worth at age 68, assuming a 4% inflation rate. So we're going to go again to the future value table. We're going to look for 4%, and there's 4% right here. Oops, let me go back to that. There's 4% right here. But now we've got to go all the way down 46 years. So from age 22 to 68 is 46 years. So the factor that we'll be using, 4% inflation, 46 years, it's going to be 6.07482. So let's look at see how that is going to break out. So I think you can see it right here. Let's see if I can expand that a little bit. There we go. Okay. So on the lower part of your screen right here, using a future value of $1 table, we're going to be finding the factor for 4% for 46 years. And that was the number I mentioned, 6.07482. We're going to multiply that factor by 50,000, which is the second goal that we're working on. This is the goal that takes you to age 68. And when we multiply the factor by $50,000, we're going to come up with $303,741. So that $50,000 goal that is worth, that today is worth $50,000. In 46 years, assuming 4% inflation rate, it's going to be worth 46 years from now, $303,741. So that's what you're going to have to pay 46 years from now. Now, we'll be doing another calculation in another video, and hopefully this will give you a good enough idea of how you do this calculation for calculating the future value. Thank you.